Hello. I'd love to consolidate some of my main arguments for why we should have a revote on Brexit or just not go ahead with it. Um, or at least why it was just a fucking stupid thing to do in the first place. And if we can agree on that, then perhaps at the very least we can take a lesson away from this and not do something so incredibly stupid again in future. So any of those. And they are, number one, I think the thing that probably frustrates me most, so a good thing to start with, is giving more voice and power and influence to the public. Something that I'm really passionate about and something I really believe in. And something that I think a lot of people misconstrue the referendum as being an example of why it's a bad thing to do. And it really makes me feel so frustrated because I feel like there's such different kinds of decisions to put to the public. And some of them are a really, really great idea to involve public opinion in, and some are really not. And the referendum was the epitome of pretty much I can't think of a better example of something that should not be put to public opinion more than the referendum, the Brexit referendum. Why? Because firstly, it was a binary decision, either Remain or Brexit, but no one had a fucking clue what the difference was between the two. Like no one, even the people who were supposed to be defining choice A or choice B, they didn't know what the implications were. It was a ridiculous poll. And that's the second thing. It was a poll. It was actually just a temperature check. It was not legally binding. If I'm wrong, I would love to see some evidence, any citations on that. As far as I'm aware, there was nothing about it that made it a legally binding referendum. It was just a public opinion poll. And that's how it began. And then somehow, very strangely, and quite suspiciously, in my opinion, it somehow became apparently a legally binding referendum that the government had to act on. It is possible to just get polls from the public on things and see where the public stand on an issue and use that to influence a decision that is actually made by government. So the referendum was just an extremely complex issue. I voted on it because it felt really important, but it was upsetting for me to vote on. It was really frustrating. It was not the kind of issue that I wanted to have a voice on. The kind of issues that I want to have a voice on are issues that are on my doorstep. They're issues that I really know about, that I have a lot of conviction about. They fall within my area of experience and expertise. They directly affect me more than other people. Those are the issues I want to have a voice on. I live in Brighton. I want to talk about recycling and homeless people, parking. I want to talk about my local issues where I live. I know about them. I care about them. They affect me. Those are the issues I want to have a voice on. Those are the issues everyone wants to have a voice on. Why does no one have a voice on those issues? Why, once in a blue moon, in a democracy where my voice is never heard in any issues, apart from choosing A or B, both of which I hate, once every 5 years, am I suddenly asked to decide whether or not we should leave the fucking European Union? I'm like, are you joking? What kind of democracy is this? This is so stupid. Also, I think anyone who's vaguely following what's happening, like YouGov polls and stuff around Brexit, will agree that this isn't just a case of Remainers like me, not being able to get with democracy and wanting to have a revote, or not being able to accept that what we wanted didn't happen. What I care about more than us remaining with the EU is actually that we do the most democratic thing. And I think there's different definitions of what true democracy is, right? So like a lot of people who are pro-Brexit still, which is a dwindling minority now if you have been following YouGov and other sort of ever-changing opinion polls, because all of the media spin on what Brexit would actually mean, because it never was defined, right? It was just an idea. Leave the EU? What does that actually mean? Right, apart from just the words. No one knew. You don't know. You never knew. When you voted, you had no idea what the vote actually meant. No one did. No politician did. We still don't really know. So that's why it was a stupid thing to put to the public. Just define what A and B actually means, and then invite people to have a say on it, preferably after they've had some experience engaging in a real democracy where they actually have a say in local issues. Anyway, so yeah, the evidence is very much showing that people increasingly are saying that no, it does not mean that leaving the EU will give us loads more money to reinvest in the NHS, as was advertised. That was just media peddling to get more people to vote for it. More and more people now are actually more pro-Remain. So what is the most democratic thing? Is it to stick with the first vote, given how ridiculous it was to put that vote out in the first place, the lies that it was based upon, and how vague the definitions even were of Remain and Leave? Or is the more democratic thing to actually do what now the majority of people in the UK believe, given that we've had more time now to actually look at what does Brexit mean, what does Remain mean? Okay, now we see a bit more through all the lies of what the implications are for the NHS, and we see a bit more through all of the bullshit mainstream politician media for just swaying people's opinions. Now that we actually are a little bit more clued up and can reflect on it a bit, is it more democratic to actually have a revote now that we've got some vague sort of definitions of what the implications are? Because certainly it does seem very much that Remain is the more popular option now. Again, if anyone disagrees with that, I would love to see any evidence on it. Call me out on my evidence for the swing towards Remain. I'll be happy to share what I know if people are interested. So yeah, in a word, that is my views on Brexit. Yeah, this is as much an invitation for people's thoughts and ideas around that, rather than me just talking at you, because that is not contributing much to a democracy I want to be part of. But yeah, some food for thought and an invitation for responses.